She said it in her own mouth, on camera, in front of everybody, with a straight face. She said she checks everybody. That tells her the drama is overshadowing her boxing, and the second those words came out, she told on herself in a way no interviewer, no blogger, no hater, no Papoose, no Remy Ma could have ever told on her. Because if you have to check everybody, if you are correcting the whole world one by one, if every single interview you sit down and ends with you having to bark somebody down for saying the exact same thing every other person keeps saying, the problem is not the world. The problem is not the interviewers. The problem is not the haters. The problem is the woman in the mirror. Claressa Shields, the two-time Olympic gold medalist, the self-proclaimed GWOT, the woman who has spent the better part of 2 years now walking through a burning building she lit herself, sat down and told a full-grown man to his face that her circus of a personal life is not overshadowing her career, and I need everybody watching this video to understand something before we go 1 second further. That interview was not an interview. That was a confession. That was a woman standing in the wreckage of her own name and pointing at the smoke and telling you the fire is not real. And the reason nobody in her camp will pull her to the side and tell her the truth is the exact same reason we are here right now, 16 scandals deep, with an August fight card that looks less like a boxing event and more like a baddies casting call. Because the woman does not want the truth. She wants the applause. And I promise you, when we get to the part of this video where I break down that August 15th card piece by piece, and I promise you we are getting there, you are going to understand that this is not a woman with a boxing career anymore. This is a woman with a reality show pretending to be a boxer. And her refusal to see it is the exact reason the walls keep closing in. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Now let me set the table for anybody just walking into this, because if you have been living under a rock for the last 2 years, the full weight of what we are about to unpack is going to hit you sideways. Claressa Shields, out of Flint, Michigan, is on paper one of the most decorated American boxers of her generation. 2 Olympic gold medals. Undisputed champion in multiple weight classes. A professional record that, according to the numbers on BoxRec and ESPN, sits at 18 wins and 0 losses as of August 2025. On paper, she should be untouchable. On paper, she should be sitting where Laila Ali sat 20 years ago on the throne, respected, sponsored, endorsed, celebrated. That is the paper version. The real version, the version that has been playing out in real time in front of everybody with a phone and a data plan, is a completely different movie. Because somewhere between the second gold medal and the GWOT tattoo, this woman decided that the fastest way to become a global name was not to be the best in the ring, it was to be the loudest outside of it. And that decision, more than any fight she ever took or turned down, is what we are actually here to talk about tonight. The decision to make her mouth her marketing plan. The decision to make Remy Ma's husband, Papoose, the biggest storyline of her career. The decision, as reported across every major outlet from the Shade Room to Yahoo Entertainment, to insert herself into a marriage that had been public property for over a decade, a decision that has, according to reporting, resulted in Papoose filing for divorce in May of 2025, months after Remy Ma first publicly aired the affair allegations back in December of 2024. The decision to fight the entire internet at the exact moment the internet started paying attention to her for a reason that had nothing to do with a jab. And the stakes here, musically, culturally, financially, reputation-wise, are not small stakes. This is a woman who was supposed to be the face of women's boxing in America. She was supposed to be the answer to the question, who is next after Laila Ali? She was supposed to be the crossover star. And instead, right now, at the exact moment she should be at her commercial peak, she cannot get a real endorsement. She reportedly cannot get a BET nomination that sticks. She is losing corporate interest. And her own promotional card for August 15th is being propped up not by her name, but by 2 baddies reality stars in Tesehki and Big Lex. So the question that is going to run underneath every single word of this video is this. How does a woman with 2 gold medals and an undefeated professional record end up needing Zeus Network reality stars to sell her own headline fight? And the answer, I promise you, is not what the fan base wants to hear. Let's start with what everybody can see with their own two eyes, because before we get to the deep stuff, before we get to the industry stuff, before we get to the reveals that are going to have some of you rewinding this video, we have to walk through the surface layer. And the surface layer is already devastating. Piece of evidence number 1, the interview itself, the one that gave this video its title. Claressa Shields sat down with the Morning Hustle show, and the clip is currently sitting on their Facebook page and Instagram for anybody who wants to go verify it in real time. The interviewer, respectfully, calmly, like a grown adult, tells her, "As a fan, I feel like this extra stuff going on is overshadowing your talent." Her response? "Never. I correct everybody for that. Correct everybody. Not, I disagree. Not, I see your point, but here is my perspective. Correct." Like they are children. Like the entire viewing public is a classroom of students who got the answer wrong, and she is the teacher with the red pen. That is piece of evidence number 1, and it sets the entire tone. Piece of evidence number 2, the August 15th fight card at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, streaming on Zeus Network. The main event is Claressa Shields versus K. Scott, also spelled Keyshawn Scott in some listings. The co-main event, confirmed by promoter Lemuel Plummer and reported across Instagram, Facebook, and on-site, is Tesehki versus Big Lex. 2 reality television personalities from the Baddies franchise. Not 2 ranked female boxers. Not 2 rising prospects. 2 women whose primary claim to fame is being on a Zeus Network reality show. And the reporting is explicit that Tesehki and Big Lex are being used to draw the crowd. Natalie Nunn is also attached to the lineup according to multiple outlets. Does anybody watching this need me to explain what it means when the 2-time Olympic gold medalist cannot sell her own card without the cast of baddies? Piece of evidence number 3, the MVP ban. Reported by Yahoo Sports and Just Women's Sports, Claressa Shields was slapped with an indefinite ban from all future Most Valuable Promotions events following a physical altercation with fellow champion Alicia Baumgardner. Indefinite ban from the biggest women's boxing promotion in the country. Let that sit for a second. And piece of evidence number 4, the one that should be embarrassing on its own, but somehow gets buried under everything else. Baller Alert reported, and it is all over Facebook, that Claressa Shields called into a YouTube live under a fake persona to defend herself and ended up blowing her own cover mid-argument. A grown 2-time Olympic gold medalist, allegedly logging into somebody's live stream under a fake name to defend her own reputation and getting caught doing it. Does everybody understand how crazy this actually is? Does anybody in her camp actually love her? Because there is no way, a woman with real people around her, real management, real advisors, real friends who actually want her to eat, ends up in a position where she is allegedly sock puppeting her own defense on a YouTube live. That is not a career. That is a spiral. And these are just the pieces sitting on the surface. These are the ones you can Google in 30 seconds. Wait until we get into the layer under this one. And oh, do I have more for you? I am not even warm yet. The Papoose stans, the Claressa loyalists, the leave her alone crowd, the she's a champion defenders, you are really not going to like what comes next. Because everything I just laid out is what regular people can see with their own eyes. What is coming up in the next section is what people inside the culture, inside the industry, inside the rooms where these decisions actually get made, what they have been saying, posting, deleting, and reacting to in real time. And I am going to name every one of them. Let's talk about the cultural layer, the insider layer, the layer where you find out who in the industry actually rocks with her and who is quietly backing away. Piece of cultural evidence number 1, Remy Ma. Reported across Yahoo, The Shade Room, and Facebook posts from major hip-hop pages like DJ Envy's account, Remy Ma has been throwing shots at both Claressa Shields and Papoose consistently throughout 2025. According to one widely shared post, Remy Ma called out professional boxer Claressa Shields for being in husband Papoose's DMs after he filed for divorce, and reportedly said Claressa looks 45 in her commentary. That is not a random blog. That is Remy Ma, one of the most respected female rappers of the last 20 years, a woman with a real fan base, a real history, and a real seat at the table, actively taunting Claressa Shields in public. And Claressa's response has not been to sit down and be quiet. It has been to keep engaging, keep posting, keep giving interviews about the timeline, keep insisting that God is somehow involved in the story of how she ended up allegedly involved with a married man. Piece of cultural evidence number 2, Laila Ali. The Sports Illustrated Fan Nation piece has a headline that says it out loud: Laila Ali shreds Claressa Shields for having malicious nature. Laila Ali, the daughter of Muhammad Ali, the undefeated former champion, the woman Claressa keeps calling out for a fight, publicly described Claressa's nature as malicious. That is not a random hater on Twitter. That is Laila Ali. And when Claressa put up a supposed $15 million offer to get Laila in the ring, Laila's response, reported by Yahoo Sports and covered in a TMZ Sports segment on YouTube, was essentially, "Nobody calls shots on me. I do things when, how, and where I like to do them." That is a legend telling a champion to sit down. Piece of cultural evidence number 3. The shocking interview breakdown video by ATS Boxing and multiple boxing commentary channels have been hammering on the same point for months now, which is that Claressa's online meltdowns and combative interviews are doing more damage to her brand than any opponent ever has. That is not a rumor. That is the consensus opinion of the boxing commentary space right now. Piece of cultural evidence number 4. Papoose himself. Papoose, allegedly, publicly, has questioned why Claressa did not win a BET award again this year, per an Instagram reel that has been circulating and reposted across the Shade Room ecosystem. Think about that for 1 second. The man at the center of the entire scandal is now allegedly out here campaigning for her BET recognition, which only makes the entire situation look messier, not cleaner. Because now the public sees a man who denies the affair but is publicly advocating for the woman he denies having an affair with, while his wife of over a decade is on the sidelines watching the whole thing burn. That is not a good look for anybody. That is a triangle of bad decisions. And I want to be fair here for a second, because a fair analyst has to acknowledge the counterargument. The counterargument goes like this: Claressa is a champion. She has the right to defend herself. The media does pile on female athletes disproportionately, and a lot of this is misogynoir. I hear that argument. I have heard it 100 times. Here is the problem with it. Misogynoir is real. Media pile-on is real. Female athletes do face harder scrutiny. All of that is true. But none of that explains why the same woman is at the center of a toy drive scandal, a Papoose scandal, an Alicia Baumgardner altercation, a Franklin Cruz Dezern brawl in Detroit, a Shadeja Green mocking incident, and an alleged fake persona YouTube live incident all within a 2-year window. That is not the media. That is not misogyny. That is a pattern. And patterns tell the truth even when the person inside the pattern refuses to. So the counterargument, respectfully, does not survive contact with the evidence. And this brings us to the gear shift, because everything I just walked through is still surface culture. It is still visible. It is still fan-level analysis. What comes next is not. Now I want everybody watching to slow down, because this is where the video becomes something completely different. Up to this point, we have been talking about beef, drama, interviews, scandal, the entertainment layer. What we are about to talk about is the business layer, and this is where the actual reason Claressa Shields is losing the war becomes undeniable. Angle number 1, the sponsorship desert. There is a reason, a very specific structural reason, that Claressa Shields does not have the major corporate endorsement portfolio that a 2-time Olympic gold medalist of her generation should have. And it is not because she is a woman. Because Laila Ali had endorsements. Ronda Rousey had endorsements. Serena Williams built an empire. Simone Biles is a billion-dollar face. Corporate America pays female athletes when the female athlete is a safe brand. And the entire calculation a brand makes before cutting a check is one question. Can this person go a full quarter without generating a crisis that we would have to distance ourselves from? And Claressa Shields, as of the summer of 2025, cannot get through a full month without a new controversy. So the sponsorship model is not broken. The sponsorship model is working exactly as designed. It is doing exactly what it is supposed to do, which is protect corporate money from unpredictable public figures. That is angle number 1, and it is not personal, it is structural. Angle number 2, the promotional isolation. When most valuable promotions, the Jake Paul-affiliated promotion that has done more for women's boxing in the last 3 years than almost anybody, issues an indefinite ban on you following a physical altercation with another champion. That is not just a bad news cycle. That is a promotional death sentence in a sport where you only have so many places to fight. Women's boxing does not have 20 promoters lined up. It has a small ecosystem. And when the biggest player in that ecosystem locks the door on you, you end up exactly where Claressa ended up, which is on the Zeus Network with a baddies co-main event, allegedly needing reality TV personalities to sell tickets. That is not the industry hating her. That is the industry making a rational business decision about risk. And the risk is not her boxing ability. The risk is what happens outside the ring. Angle number 3, the media manufacturing problem. And this is the deepest layer, the one that requires you to understand how modern celebrity actually works. In 2025, a public figure has 2 possible engagement economies. Economy 1 is the earned economy, where you become famous for what you actually do. You box, you win, you defend, you build a fan base around excellence, and the money follows the excellence. Economy 2 is the attention economy, where you become famous for what you generate. You post, you feud, you scandal, you clip, and the money follows the noise. The problem with Economy 2, the one Claressa Shields has fully migrated into, is that the attention economy has a ceiling and a floor. The ceiling is that no legacy brand will ever pay you real money because the noise you generate is a liability. And the floor is that you are only as valuable as your last 24 hours of chaos. The second the chaos slows down, your relevance evaporates. So she has been forced, structurally, to keep producing chaos to stay relevant, which produces more chaos, which produces more scandal, which produces more distance from the earned economy, which produces even more dependence on the attention economy. It is a doom loop. And I do not think she even understands she is inside of it. What looks from the outside like a woman who cannot stop making bad decisions is actually, when you look at the industry structure underneath it, a woman trapped in a business model that requires her to keep making bad decisions to keep eating. The Zeus Network booking is not a random career choice. It is the only ecosystem that will still write her a check because Zeus operates in the same attention economy she is trapped in. The baddie stars on her card are not a random co-main event. They are demographically identical to her current audience because her real audience is no longer the boxing audience. Her real audience is the reality TV audience, which is why she keeps feuding, keeps clipping, keeps posting, keeps calling into YouTube, lives allegedly under fake names. She is not a boxer with a scandal problem. She is a reality star with a boxing hobby. And the moment you see it that way, everything about the last 2 years makes perfect sense. The interviews are not overshadowing her boxing. Her boxing is subsidizing her reality show. And here is the truth bomb, and I want everybody watching to hear this clearly because this is the part of the video that is going to make some people uncomfortable, and it should make them uncomfortable because comfort is not what we are here for tonight. The moment Claressa Shields looked into that camera on the Morning Hustle show and said, "I correct everybody for that," that was the exact moment she publicly confirmed that she has completely lost the ability to hear feedback, not the ability to receive criticism. Everybody struggles with criticism. I am talking about the ability to hear feedback. Feedback is the neutral, non-hostile information the world gives you about how you are landing. When a random interviewer, respectfully, without malice, tells you as a fan, "I feel your personal life is overshadowing your career," that is not an attack. That is a fan giving you feedback that would save your life if you listen to it. And her answer, "Never, I correct everybody," is the answer of a person whose ego has now become louder than her survival instinct. And here is the reveal, the real one, the one nobody in her camp will say to her face. The scandal is bigger than the career. It is not close. It is not debatable. It is not a matter of perspective. Go on any major hip-hop platform, any major urban blog, any major social media feed, and search her name. What comes up? Papoose, Remy Ma, Toy Drive, Baumgardner, Baddies, YouTube Live Fake Persona. What does not come up? The gold medals, the undisputed belts, the 18-0 record, the historic achievements. According to her own record breakdown on Wikipedia and ESPN, this is a woman who technically holds the record for becoming a 2, 3, 4, and 5 division world champion in the fewest professional fights in the history of the sport. In the history of the sport. And nobody is talking about it. Because the scandal took the microphone. Allegedly, she was part of a situation with her friend Nigeria involving a housing voucher. Allegedly, she taught her young niece to curse on camera in ways that went viral. Allegedly, she was involved in a Detroit brawl with Frank Cruz-Dezern. Allegedly, she mocked Shadasia Green's medical situation after a devastating in-ring injury. Allegedly, she was involved in the Alicia Baumgardner situation. Allegedly, she was part of the Shadasia Green ring incident commentary. Every single one of those allegations, according to public reporting and public reaction, is another brick in a wall that she built herself. And the walls are now high enough that even her actual accomplishments cannot see over them. When Papoose allegedly went online to question why she did not win a BET award this year, he was not being an ally. He was documenting the exact problem. The problem is not that she deserves a BET award. The problem is that no major corporate award ceremony, BET, SB, anything at that level, can put her name on a stage right now because the risk of her doing something in the next 30 days that would humiliate the ceremony is too high. That is the reveal. That is the truth she does not want to hear from anyone. And that is why she checks everybody who tries to say it. Because if she stops checking everybody, she has to check herself, and checking herself would require dismantling the entire personality she has built her brand around. Which means she cannot stop. Which means the walls keep going up. Which means the scandal keeps getting bigger than the career. Every day that passes. But here is the beautiful part of the story, and this is where I want us to land, because I do not do this work to tear people down. I do it to tell the truth. And the truth about this story is not just about who is losing. It is also about who is winning. And in this story, the person who has quietly, patiently, disciplinedly kept winning without ever having to raise her voice is Laila Ali. Laila Ali did not have to take the fight. Laila Ali did not have to respond to the $15 million call-out. Laila Ali did not have to defend herself on any Facebook comment section, any Instagram reel, any TMZ sports segment. Laila Ali walked away from boxing undefeated, walked into the rest of her life with grace, walked into television with a real career, walked into brand partnerships with a portfolio, and walked into this current moment as the actual answer to the question, who is the greatest female boxer of the modern era, because she never gave anybody the ammunition to say otherwise. When Sports Illustrated Fan Nation ran that headline calling Claressa malicious, from Laila's perspective, that was Laila Ali barely engaging. That was Laila Ali dismissing. And the dismissal landed harder than any punch Claressa has thrown in the last 2 years. That is what discipline looks like. One woman is out here allegedly calling into YouTube lives under fake personas to defend her name. The other one has not had to defend her name in 20 years because her name defends itself. One woman is fighting baddies reality stars on a Zeus Network undercard. The other one is on the shortlist for every legitimate boxing legacy conversation that gets held. One woman has to say, I correct everybody in every interview. The other one does not have to correct anyone because there is nothing to correct. That is the contrast. That is the entire lesson of this video in one sentence. One woman built a name and protected it, and the other woman built a name and lit it on fire. And the reason I want everybody watching to sit with that is because it is not about Claressa. It is about the pattern. Every era of hip-hop culture, every era of black female excellence, every era of the sports world produces both types of women. The ones who understand that the biggest flex is the flex you never have to explain, and the ones who chase every headline until the headlines eat them alive. Laila Ali is the blueprint. Claressa Shields, at least in this current version, is the cautionary tale. And what makes the story tragic is not that Claressa is not talented. She is enormously talented. The tragedy is that all of that talent is being subsidized to prop up a reality show she does not even know she is starring in. But the culture, the real culture, the ones who value discipline over noise, is course-correcting in real time. You see it in the Laila Ali response, getting the respect it got. You see it in the boxing commentary space unanimously calling out the interview meltdowns. You see it in the sponsorship deserts and the promotional bans. The culture is telling on itself, telling on the truth, telling us that the era of scandalous marketing has an expiration date, and Claressa Shields is watching hers arrive in real time. And this is only the start. Because the August 15th card is coming, and everything about how that card performs, the ticket sales, the pay-per-view numbers, the arena capacity, the social media reception, the post-fight reaction, is going to be the next chapter of this story. And I promise you I am going to be here breaking every second of it down for you. Watch what happens when Tesehki and Big Lex outraw the main event on social media. Watch what happens when the post-fight interview turns into another meltdown. Watch what happens when Remy Ma decides to respond, because she will respond. That is not a question of if, that is a question of when. And beyond the card, watch what happens with the Papoose divorce proceedings, because those documents, when they surface, are going to reshape this entire conversation in a way nothing we have talked about tonight can prepare you for. So if you are subscribed, you are going to catch every single piece of that in real time. If you are not subscribed yet, this is the exact moment to fix that, because the next 30 days in this story are going to be louder than the last 2 years combined, and I do not want a single one of you to miss it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you think Claressa can actually pull it back together, or if the walls are already too high. Hit like if you want more breakdowns like this one. And if you have made it this far into the video, you are amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you. Now, before you close the tab, go watch my next video, because I am about to break down something even bigger, the exact reason Papoose reportedly filed for divorce in May of 2025, the specific timeline nobody in the blogs has connected yet, and the one name in the middle of both the marriage and the boxing card that is quietly running this entire story from the shadows. That video is going to shift everything you think you know about who the villain in this story actually is. Click it, watch it, and I will see you in the next one.